Director of CAST Research, Gabrielle Rapol-Schlickman, speaks to the relationship between the principles of universal design for learning and our most current understanding of the neuroscience of learning.
Neuroscience has been evolving so that the modern view now focuses on networks of neurons within the brain rather than locations per se as the most important unit of analysis for understanding how learning works. The brain has vast numbers of interconnecting, overlapping, and interdependent networks of neurons, and not all are important for learning, and some are more or less important for different aspects of learning. Importantly, the UDL principles actually stem from the realization that three broad divisions are often made in the research literature when learning is described. So, for example, Lev Vygotsky, the preeminent Russian psychologist, and Benjamin Bloom, the American educational theorist, both adopted a similar three-part framework when writing about the process of learning. And within cognitive neuroscience, we often find reference to these three networks broadly representing pattern recognition processes in the posterior regions of the cortex or in the back of the brain, motor and executive capabilities in the frontal regions of the cortex, and affective or emotional capabilities which happen in the medial or sort of middle part of the central nervous system and the brain. The generation of the UDL principles and guidelines was the direct result of a sort of very careful analysis of the neurosciences and the learning sciences. In essence, the guidelines are in essence a concrete representation of our best and most current understanding of the variables that are most important in the process of learning across those three networks. The three-principle framework may seem in some ways like a gross oversimplification in all the complexity of the learning brain as we understand it, but like most phenomenon in science, learning, and especially as it's represented in the brain sciences, is far too complex to study productively in its full form or to take usable knowledge for it for the purpose of using it for something like teaching or devising a learning environment, for example. So we rely on models to simplify complexity, highlighting what we think is most important, and in developing a good model, you have to find the balance between two extremes, being too complex or too simplistic. Because UDL means to be a framework whereby research is successfully translated to practice and vice versa, it was important to adopt the simplest model possible that still managed to expose in common language our most fundamental and current understanding of learning from the neurosciences.